K-9 units have been part of policing in this country for decades, used to track down suspects and to help sniff out suspected drugs. But as drug laws in this country change, as more states legalize different forms of marijuana use, how useful are these K-9 units in everyday police work today? And do they complicate the already troubled problem of race and policing? ABC's Alex Presha takes a look.
You're driving your mom's car, and you see the lights flashing behind you. What goes through your mind?
I was scared, honestly. Nervous. I'm not going to say I wasn't nervous.
It was August of 2018.
What's going on, man?
Then 18-year-old Tayon Lee had gotten pulled over by Louisville police.
Mama, they taking me out the vehicle.
Don't hop out?
The officers bringing in a K-9 to search the vehicle. That dog, Ripley, alerting for drugs.
What are you thinking?
Well, my heart dropped because I knew there wasn't drugs in that car. I dropped my head down. I'm praying that everything, that they're saying this and saying that. What's next?
K-9 indication.
That one signal from the K-9 gave the officers probable cause, allowing them to search the vehicle while Tayon stood on the side of a busy road in handcuffs, innocent,
Some narcotics.
insisting he didn't have drugs.
I told him multiple times that I didn't when he asked me, because I didn't.
The police never found anything illegal inside that car. But Tayon says what they left behind was an emotional scar, because for nearly 25 minutes, police and their K-9 unit turned that car inside out, even checking under the lid of his drink for contraband.
All right, sir, here's your ID
The
back.
reason officers pulled him over to begin with? A minor infraction. He allegedly made a wide turn. Police body camera footage viewed over 1 million times on YouTube. Critics say policing like this needs to change.
Dogs make mistakes. Sometimes a mistake resides in the handler's suspicions. If the handler suspects that, in fact, drugs are present, it's very difficult to behave in such a fashion that you don't unconsciously cue the dog to alert.
Scenes like this have played out across the country, leading some to ask, did the punishment fit the crime, or do these incidents undermine K-9 units at a time when police departments are under a microscope? Which begs the question, are they necessary or even helpful?
I think people have found that the money, time, and resources that go into the programs really benefits the community, because the dogs can do so many amazing things that we as humans or police officers just wouldn't be able to do.
You believe these dogs are saving lives?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Good boy.
We met Sergeant Russell and his partner Taz in Alexandria, Virginia.
Well, we'll just work on all the core basics of patrol work, which is tracking. So looking for suspects or missing persons, evidence searches.
Sergeant Russell says his unit is constantly evolving. Over the summer, Virginia became the 16th state to legalize adult possession of marijuana, up to 1 ounce, which has forced many drug-sniffing dogs trained on pot into early retirement. Newer K-9s like Taz come in to train to sniff out the harder stuff, like cocaine, meth, and heroin. Police K-9s are often used in traffic stops when an officer needs to confirm a suspicion. But dogs trained on multiple drugs alert in the same way for all of them, making it impossible to tell whether they are indicating for marijuana or an illegal drug. Since dogs can't distinguish between a small legal amount of pot or a larger illegal amount of the drug, they can no longer be used to establish probable cause for a search in Virginia.
There is no way to train a dog to signal at a certain amount of drugs. So
Correct. So we figured it's better just, it's legal, so it's better just not, we don't want it to be a tricky situation. It's better to not violate someone's rights than, to maybe get a couple ounces of marijuana.
As states like Virginia begin to legalize cannabis in one form or another, some law enforcement agencies around the country have been forced to change how they use their K-9s.
what are some of the modern day challenges that you guys are dealing with now?
Yeah, well, I think one of them was the marijuana issue. That was a really big issue for a lot of agencies that say they had recently trained a dog 2 or 3 years ago on marijuana. What do we do with that dog now?
Well, it's expensive to train these.
Very expensive, absolutely.
Yep. Each of these K-9s goes through about 5 months of patrol school where they're trained on things like agility, criminal apprehension, and obedience. Then they get certified and can work until they're about 8 years old.
According to the National Police Dog Foundation, a K-9 alone can cost $8,000. Then patrol school and other specialized training ranges from $12,000 to $15,000.
Check it.
Like any tool used in law enforcement, these specialized dogs need upkeep and care and training.
Check it.
So what can K-9 police forces do today to help avoid any unnecessary and humiliating traffic stops?
Certainly their sensory capacity, certainly their training and the maintenance of that training. certainly the training of the handler and the maintenance of that training, and factors such as things that might bias the handler or bias the dog, unconsciously cue things.
What are some other things that we've seen kind of change in recent years or even decades?
I think a lot of things have changed I think a lot of agencies and handlers have gotten better at learning dog behavior.
Police dogs have a tense history in the U.S., especially along racial lines. They were used in the South, first against enslaved blacks, and later in the 1960s against civil rights protesters.
Why'd you take me out the car?
Tayon Lee didn't have any previous criminal record at the time of his run-in with the law. He was graduating with several scholarships and was his school's homecoming king. Yet, he was forced to stand by the side of that Louisville road with just one thought on his mind. He didn't want to let down his mom.
We had a positive indication about a K-9.
The historical context is one of the driving factors for him to speak out.
You know, growing up young black male, you know, never wanted to put my mother in that, you know, that scenario. To see me in handcuffs, pulled over on the side of the road, K-9 dogs around, police officers around. She taught me way better than that.
In a pending lawsuit against Louisville Metro Police and the officers, Lee is claiming he was targeted by the officers because of the color of his skin and that the stop violated his civil rights, which they have denied in court papers. ABC News has reached out to LMPD for comment but has not received a response.
I honestly wanted it, you know, to be exposed, you know, what they did and how they're, you know, how they're judging people.
Tayon's traffic stop did spark change in the Louisville Metro Police Department. A new policy was put in place for how officers pull people over. Those new practices include a nervous person or someone in a high crime area are not indicators to justify certain actions by police, as well as guidelines for handcuffing someone who is not under arrest.
Please, K-9, open the door.
As for K-9 policing,
I think people recognize the fact that the dogs are amazing animals and their noses can do incredible things. So I think they're here to stay as long as K-9 teams continue to deploy them properly.
Alex Presha, ABC News, Washington.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.